I'm Brandon McGill, body painter located in Phoenix, Arizona. And this panel presentation is called Beneath the Surface. I just want to let you know, in case you guys aren't aware, this panel will contain nudity. If that bothers you, run in terror. But if you're cool with that, stick around. So welcome to Beneath the Surface. Who am I? I started with body painting in about 2 or 3 years ago, and kind of decided to bring something different to the game. You'll see a lot of like really interesting prosthetics and textures and fun stuff like that. This sort of you'll see kind of make it stand out. I'll go over how some of that stuff comes together, and we will begin. So this is from a couple different events I did. This is Phoenix Comic-Con last year, where I presented my first documentary. And it's not really known for body painting in Phoenix, but everyone's been really supportive. You can see here's me hanging out with a bunch of our local body painters. We did this bear landscape project, which was really cool. And this is my contribution to it. It's a little over the top and wild, but kind of par for the course. Contrary to popular belief, you cannot be asphyxiated if your entire body is painted. I still get that from time to time. They worry, like I have to leave a special spot for them to breathe, and your skin doesn't breathe that way. It doesn't work that way. Unless I dip you in liquid latex, you'll probably be okay. So really, take your costumes beyond, become the costume. Some more examples of my Peter Pan and Cole. So really, anyone can paint a body. How did I get my start? And I wanted to play for you just a brief video that kind of documents how I began. Oh, that's exciting. Did the internet die? Let's try to hit that enter key. How do I not have internet in here? Wait. Oh, hold on. Is there going to be a special password for this magic? Let's find out. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Haha! Magic. I don't know how well you'll hear this, so we're just going to go right into it. Can we raise the sound at all?
Some. Be a strange time, but I wanted to take you beneath the surface.
There we go. Hopefully you guys can hear this.
Hey, Seth.
Seth, nice to meet you. Come on inside.
Thank you.
It's not the start of a bad porno, I promise.
I'm Seth Powers. I'm the model for Beneath the Surface, and I'm also a part-time actor and musician.
All right, Seth, maybe just one step this way. How are you feeling?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm well, thank you for asking. Are you excited about the project?
Yeah.
It should be neat. Here's the
My start as a body painter began simply as a fluke. I was doing canvas work at the time, and one of my models posing asked me to paint him. Literally. I thought he was joking, but he persisted. So I painted his face with acrylic paint and posted it on Facebook. Everyone responded positively to the post and encouraged me to paint an entire body. In January of 2013, I did just that, and the rest is history.
My expectations for this project are becoming comfortable with being naked, and hopefully that will take me away when I go to auditions. I won't feel so pressured, because the whole saying, picturing everybody else naked makes you feel comfortable. Well, I think I can probably handle auditions a little bit better.
so nervous here.
When I first began, I had no idea what I was getting into. I went through a number of paint brands and products, and through trial and error, I figured out what worked best. When you paint someone, a bond forms that may not have been there before. They typically forget that they are naked, let down their guard, and give you their trust. In return, I shield them with my art. Beyond the art itself, one of the biggest challenges is the networking. Spent a lot of time on different social media channels trying to nurture a following. I've also had to grow as a photographer, which has been its own incredible journey. Initially, when I researched my craft in the beginning, I struggled to find a lot of positive male representation in art, especially with body painting. In some ways, you could say I'm filling that niche with my work. Since I took on this project, I've been consistently surprised by how supportive everyone has been, especially in Phoenix. People encourage each other, and the art community is closer than I had originally imagined. When I photographed the model, I asked for them to embody the role, to really get into the character underneath all the paint and prosthetics. That's when the journey has come full circle, and the art truly comes alive. While I may not know what the future has in store for me, I am excited by the infinite possibility. What I do may require an immeasurable amount of work, but the support of everyone makes it worth it. Thank you for being a part of my story.
So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. All right. So that gives you a little idea of, that's a documentary that I aired last year at Phoenix Comic-Con. But what does it do for the canvas? As you saw, that guy was pretty nervous starting out. It boosts their confidence, really. It encourages creativity, and it breaks down barriers. I don't know if has anyone ever been body painted before in this room? Got 1, 2, 3, got a handful. It really changes how you look at things, because a lot of people have all these artificial barriers that they think about. And when you're painted, you sort of let down all of those surfaces that you create, and you're just yourself. And you really connect with the person that's working on you in a whole different level. And I've seen people transform that I never expected. So, you know, kind of going into it, not knowing what would happen, it's been really interesting to see different friends and different people that I work with really transform. Here's some interesting examples of my work. This is a Joker and a lion from my Zodiac series. A lot of texture, a lot of details. I use a lot of mixed media, wood, plastics. Little Star Wars fan service, if any of you guys like Star Wars. Little topical excitement there. So how do you begin? So I kind of broke down some tips in case you guys were curious, if you guys ever want to play around a little bit. I recommend probably starting with half your face, just because you don't have to worry about the symmetry. You can just kind of go to town. Start learning how to shade, figure out what you want to bring out, take away, and then, you know, be daring, be ridiculous, just go over the top. You can't grow until you push yourself a little bit. Hi, that's me. Explore your body. You can go ahead and cue up the sexy music. Apply what you learned about shading to your chest and shoulders. Create some depths and shadows. The goal really is to create illusions. That's what body painting is. And experiment with materials. Who says you just have to use paint? I mean, if you want to throw spaghetti on someone, which I've done before. I had a model and his boyfriend walk into the room, and I was cooking spaghetti, and they're like, "We've already eaten." I'm like, "This isn't for your belly. This is for your body." The look they gave me. So and what I ended up doing for that one is it was Riku from Kingdom Hearts. And if you remember, the Heartless version has a lot of textures. There's a lot of depth and detail. And I figured that if I just painted those lines, it would look really flat and not very inspiring. So by using spaghetti, you can create that depth, like you're actually looking into the surfaces. So that was kind of fun. So really use whatever inspires and delights you. When you feel comfortable working with others, find a willing victim. Usually it's your friends or whoever needs help with costumes. I know there's a lot of cosplayers here. And then once you get to that point, showcase that on social media. That's how I got my beginning, is that I would just show it off online and people said, hey, I want to be a part of that. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. You're only competing with yourself. And with time, you'll get better. And network and get feedback and learn new techniques. I don't know if you guys can tell, but that's foam, and I'm jabbing flowers into the foam, and it's attached with liquid latex. There are no rules. Create what inspires you. So art is messy. Someone took this photo when I was painting at a recent event, and it just kind of shows that, it's kind of a beautiful disaster. The one on the bottom right is actually last year at GX2. Who here attended last year for GX2? Anyone? Hey. So I offered my services and I painted random faces for anyone who wanted me to paint them for free, just for fun. Why not? And I'll probably do that again sometime this weekend. So if you guys want to get your face painted, let me know. But I do a lot of live exhibitions, and it's a way for people to sort of connect and watch the process come together. I think it's kind of fun for people. Uh-oh. Bye, Hello Kitty. So some of the products I use, you can see it's a pretty extensive list. I use liquid latex, Wolf watercolors, Ben Nye, Tag, Ruby Red, acrylic, Ben Nye, both loose and pressed powders. Liquicet, meltable plastic Savier of Worbla. Anyone use Worbla? It's really cool. You just hold up a blow dryer or a heat gun, or you throw it in water, and you can really melt the plastic and shape it however you want. And so some of the art that you see here was shaped with meltable plastics. Metal's a little dangerous, but I'm kind of getting into it, so we'll see where that goes. I felt like I was going to jab my eye a couple times with that stuff. Wood, paper, cloth materials. The nice thing about the spongy pore stuff, it works really well with liquid latex. Foams, plants, food. I mean, really, if you want to throw an orange on someone, I've done it before. Basically, anything that is not attached is okay. So this is like a broad overview. I'm not going to cover all the different types of paints, but you can see there's creams. Blends beautifully, but it smears like a mother trucker. Alcohol-based paints, if you guys are familiar with airbrushers, they usually use alcohol-based paints. The nice thing about it is it lasts for days. But for my purposes of my sessions, usually the model just comes in, gets painted, we do a photo shoot, and then we're good, we're out. So I don't want them to have to be stuck with that. Water-based paints offer the most flexibility, dry with a matte finish, and it's easy to remove, which is perfect. Unfortunately, they don't blend very well. You have to wet blend. Basically, the only way it'll work is you have to blend while the paint is still wet, which is kind of a pain in the butt. But it's fun. And then powders offer high contrast, read well on camera, but do poorly for full body coverage. All of this comes together and creates a little bit of magic. I do a lot of comic book ones, so can anyone recognize the two in the middle? Do you guys know who is it? Oh, aren't they adorable? So here's a few more examples. There's a little Undead Kingdom Hearts thing, because why not? That seems like a fun thing, right? And just showing off a couple different diverse models. The one on the right, if anyone knows Shadow of the Colossus. Yes. Yeah, hello. Hey, Shadow of the Colossus is great. And I'm probably going to do a terrible job of calling out any of these things, so if you see something, get excited for me. And then on the left is Sloth, which is how I look right now. I'm like, when I started, I knew people would gravitate towards the popular stuff. So it was hard in the beginning because I want to do, like any artist, I want to do my own thing. I want to work on my own intellectual properties, but that doesn't really grab people. So it's a balance of doing something that people know and doing something that's close to your heart. And I kind of found a good balance of doing a little bit of both. That being said, you know, if I paint Deadpool, people are going to get really excited about it. So I try to do a little bit of everything. I've got some Gur, I've got some Dark Link in there. There's that Spaghetti Riku. Sailor Moon, or Sailor Mars, sorry. That was sacrilegious. Don't hate me. Darth Revan, I think is what I was going for there. It's kind of like my own little take on it, so hope you guys enjoy it. But basically, once I started doing that and I started painting for a couple years, the most surprising thing I found is I actually enjoyed working on couples the most. And that's mostly from the psychological aspect, watching people interact and like truly adore each other was kind of a cool thing. You see people when they're naked, they let down their guard, so they're just being themselves. You know what I mean? They're not trying to pretend anything else, and so you can see like the true, honest connection between two people, which is really cool. This is one of the couples that I worked with when I did my duality project. So it was fun. That's created with tape and paint basically. So I just taped them up. It's not a BDSM thing, I promise. And then I painted over them and ripped it off and did some shading, and you get that kind of cool effect. I think this is the first and last time I experimented with paint, but I should probably do it more often. Here's a couple other adorable couples. I've got the Dragon Ball Z couple on the bottom right, up in I think Washington. You've got some. This is Devin from Devin Does. He's a popular YouTube streamer. He's in here. My booty's in there, so hey. I participate in my own art, so my ex-boyfriend at the time, but my boyfriend at the time, we painted each other. That's kind of a weird experience, but kind of a nice bonding moment. And I'm trying to get more diverse couples, so I've been trying to include more lesbian couples and mix it up a little bit. But without even trying, I tapped into a market that I didn't know exist. Couples painting together. So I created a niche in another niche, perhaps a nicheception. I had to make you hate me a little bit. So are there areas of opportunity? And I kind of put this together at last minute after seeing the previous panel. Some of the feedback I got mostly last year was that there wasn't enough diversity. And my argument to that initially was, well, how do you know? Because they're all painted. It doesn't really matter. But I made a conscious effort last year to start including more diverse body types, more diverse races, more genders, just because they're right. You know, you really should represent everyone, even if they're painted, even if you can't see what they look like, they still need to be represented. And it wasn't a conscious effort to exclude a group. It's just, it's hard getting everyone motivated to get naked for you. So, but you know, luckily I've had some great people that I've worked with, and that's, you know, it's something that I wanted to get involved with. Another area that I pushed myself to include more is the transgender community, and I really made that a big priority last year too, and pregnant women apparently. That's my first pregnant model. So when I began, it's kind of surprising, but I just started in January of 2013. So in the grand scheme of things, I'm still a relatively new body artist. I've been a canvas artist for years, but body painting was pretty new to me. I never expected success. It just was kind of one of those fun things that was silly, but it turned into something more. Really, I mean, you can do anything you want with life. You never know what sort of opportunities will come up, and this was something that I totally did not plan for. And it kind of unlocked a different level of empathy I wasn't expecting. Good example is I painted these two guys in 50-degree weather up north, and it was at Payson, Arizona. And yes, it does get cold in Payson. But I felt terrible for them, even though they were the models and it was someone else's project. Like you really just want to protect them. You become like the mother hen. But through this all, like I've really seen a lot of friendships flourish. This has led to magazine covers, out-of-state film productions, runway shows, live events, books, cons, interviews. I'm working on a music video next week, so that's kind of exciting. And they just won Local Band of the Year, so that's incredible. Have you guys heard of Folsom? I was invited to Folsom last year. That was really neat and a very different experience, let me tell you. I felt really vanilla there, like really vanilla. But it was cool. It was neat to be a part of that. Seattle Pride, Alex invited me to Seattle Pride last year, and I painted for them. That was a huge blast. There was a pure kind of like a indie movie thing that was going up there, and then some runway stuff. So this gives you an idea of some of my newer work. I'm trying to get into a lot more theatrical lighting, attaching lighting to the models themselves, doing a lot of texture. And there's room for questions at the end if you guys have any curiosity on like how I put something together. I just finished up a Zodiac series. So on the right is my Sagittarius. She's gorgeous. And then on the left, can anyone guess who that is? What sign that is? Aquarius. Serving up that water made out of cloth, but it sells it. That's what matters. You guys know Steven Universe at all? No? I did a Steven Universe body painting that was kind of cute. It was Devin and Hayden. Now that you've taken a peek into my colorful world, what would you like to know? Or I can just talk for a long time. Do you guys have any questions from me? Yes, back there. Oh, it's okay. So I have multiple feelings on that. I don't personally mind body. This microphone keeps moving. It's fun. Is there a screw? Well, this is exciting. Hey, I screwed it good. Technology. So I don't personally have a problem with body hair, but imagine me attaching all this awesome liquid latex on to you, and then you want to rip it off afterwards. You are going to hate me. So if you're an airbrusher, body hair makes sense and it works, but with water-based paints when you're using a paintbrush and with liquid latex work, it really doesn't work. Oh, hey, that's Fallout, by the way. I bought the Pip-Boy edition just to do that body painting. And to play the game, it's really good. So yeah, to answer your question, I've tried to work with it before. I've also noticed that with water-based paint, the hair breaks it up for some reason, and it starts to degrade it. I don't know how it would do with cream-based paint, but I haven't had a lot of successes with it. And that could be a huge turnoff for models. I've had some models that they build their shtick on being hairy, and that's how they're known, and then they want to get painted, and I'm like, womp womp, you might have to shave. So that's turned some people off. Anyone else on body painting? Yes. That's a good question. Depends on the level of detail. Usually for live shows, I try to keep them under 3 hours just because you don't want to lose people's attention. And I kind of blew through that presentation fast. But basically, and depending on how tall they are, it's a lot of work. It really is. I don't know if you guys see Matt Kahn last night at the VIP party. He was the guy walking around with the crazy face makeup. I painted him in like 45 minutes, but he just kind of sat down and was like, hey, do my face. Let's make it happen. I can do a face in probably an hour, but if I'm doing a full body, expect 3 to 6 hours, usually. Especially if I'm doing a lot of prosthetics. I don't know if you guys see, but a lot of my stuff is very costume-like. And so, although I'm not sewing anything, it still takes a lot of work putting it together. But that's a good question. Yes, in the back. So it happened in reverse. The model said, hey, you should paint me naked. And I'm like, ooh, that's dumb. I thought it was like the dumbest idea. I'm like, why would you want me to put paint on your body? That doesn't make any sense. I had no idea where this would go. And And so it was a joke. Like, I didn't take it seriously. I would say probably for the first month, I painted like a few people. They were just friends. And I didn't take it seriously until someone was like, "You're going to blow up someday." And they actually had to make me a Facebook page and handed it to me and said, "Put your frickin' art on here." And so I did. That being said, now that I'm established, it hasn't been too difficult. Straight guys, sometimes they might be a little uncomfortable, but that was like the first straight guy I painted. Now they don't care. Which you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised that you think straight guys would be bothered by it, but they're really not. Because everyone knows it's the same thing. You're working towards creating some awesome art, and the sexual component of it is very minimal. And that's what I'm trying to get. The point I'm trying to get across is that the body's beautiful. There shouldn't be any body shaming. Period. And there's a lot of body shaming, and everywhere. And just have fun with it. Body shaming in general has stopped a lot of models from applying too. I'll speak on that really briefly. But some people don't want to apply because they feel like they have to meet a certain standard. And it creates a double-edged sword because the only people that are applying for my projects are skinny, attractive, or muscular, or whatever. And so we're not really getting a broad representation. So I have to go out of my way and ask people and say, "Please, let me paint you." It'll be fun. And then they go, "Oh, I'm uncomfortable with showing myself off. Like, I need to be at this X goal weight," which is ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like, have fun with it. One of the models I showed off earlier, she had the same perception. She's like, "You know what? If I keep waiting, it'll never happen, so let's just do it. Screw it." You know what I mean? And she's a big woman, and we had fun with it. So yeah, I guess to roundabout answer your question, it hasn't really been very awkward. I try my best to make people feel comfortable, and we have a good time. You have a question?
Yeah. I was going to ask to go back a little bit to the couples painting.
Let's go back.
And just maybe if you could give a little bit more detail about some of the things that these couples experience when they're, I guess, in the session together. Either you're painting them both or they're painting each other.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's fun because as I was going along, it's something new. It's something new for them and something new for me. I realized that couples really enjoyed painting each other. It was kind of like a bonding thing where they got kind of close and intimate. I would tell one guy, I'm like, "Paint your lover's thigh." Because it's a way for them to be close in a non-sexual capacity to someone they care about. You know what I mean? And I don't think a lot of people think about those things. You know what I mean? So I've actually had a few couples tell me that their relationship was stronger afterward. And really, it's about creating experiences for people. Sometimes you see people that are a little stressed out and frustrated and kind of on edge, and I try my best to bring them down so that way they're just in a moment and they're together. Because everyone's always distracted. Why not just have some time together and enjoy each other? So it's mostly been a positive experience, I think, for both myself and the couples. Did I answer your question thoroughly? Okay, good. Yes, hi. That is a good question. They stand. I'm a very tall person. It doesn't seem that way. I'm sorry? Yes. No, we move around. I'll have a stool for them. They'll sit down for a moment. You know what I mean? I don't sit though. But yeah, it's tough. It's not an easy process. It's work. You know what I mean? It's work for myself and it's work for the model. And I think we both kind of go into expecting that. And yeah, it sucks to stand around for a little bit, but ultimately you're going to make something really cool from it. I've tried. One of my models was really, really lazy, and he's like, "Can I just lay down?" That was the sloth model you saw earlier. He wanted to just lay there and have me paint. And I tried. I was, all right, this isn't working. Because there's no comfortable way of doing it without looking like you're going to straddle him. So I didn't do that anymore. So yeah, I've tried different methods. Sometimes sitting is okay if I'm doing shoulder pieces or if I'm creating something really big and it makes sense. But usually it's some standing. Good question. Yes.
I'm an art appreciator on almost every level in media. And I've followed body art from
Mm.
This is my first exposure to prosthetics.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I've never seen them before.
Well, welcome.
I'm just curious how you, I mean, because you showed the pictures of your first forays into body art was just, flat.
It was real simple.
So how long has this prosthetic development, or how long has it been being used?
Hmm.
How did you get into using prosthetics?
So I would say probably 2013 was just all about understanding how to paint a body. 2014, I started introducing texture, just little bits here and there. And then 2015, I just kind of just ran with it and started getting into molds and getting into three-dimensional modeling and stuff like that. So it's one of those things where it's sort of organically happened, but the reason why I started using textures and stuff like that is because when you just paint a body, it looks flat. When you adjust the shadows and adjust the lighting, it looks the same. It looks like a body. And that's not interesting to me. And I got bored of it really quick because I was like, it's just a body. It's just another naked body. So what can I do to contribute to body painting that would make it different and make people talk about it? And part of that was creating costume-like elements. And I've had some pretty good success with that, with introducing stuff like that.
So it's almost like you elevated it from just being another form of erotic art to being an actual art form.
Right. And that's kind of my goal. I'm going to move this over here. I am technologically challenged. Oh, hey. How's it going? Hey, everyone. I'm also a huge goober, so if that frightens you, I'm sorry. Probably, no, that's not that button. Oh, that's me. Hi, how's it going? Thank goodness I'm not naked. That would have got real exciting. So, I mean, to answer your question, it became a pressing need for me to just do something different. This is one of my trans models. You wouldn't believe it. Everyone thought it was a really hunky guy. And they're like, hey, Brandon, why don't you ask him out? Like, I'm sorry. This is Trey. He's a bodybuilder. And as you can see, he's absolutely massive.
I think it's really interesting though how you've managed to make that prosthetic not look completely prosthetic. I mean, it builds off of the bodybuilder form. It doesn't look totally, I mean, it looks kind of organic.
Yeah, well, I mean, it should, ideally, if all my goals are met, it should blend in. It should just be part of it. You should just look at it and go, I don't know where the paint stops and where the prosthetics began and where the costume elements began. And I'm very much about composition. I'm a photographer. All this is all my photography. So it's all about, can the photo tell a story? This is my gluttony from my 7 Deadly Sins series. One of my other trans models. This is from a Washington, D.C. project. Okay, sorry. Anyone else have questions as I go on? Why am I in here? I don't understand. I mean, that's cute and stuff, but get out of here, Brandon. I hope you guys enjoyed that. This is a really fun piece. This is all pieces of wood that's glued onto him, and that shoulder piece probably took about 30 minutes to glue onto him. It was very, very difficult. Yes. Thank you. I actually did that about 2-3 weeks ago. So that gives you an idea of like progression as I go along, like how far I've come. So wait till next year. Yes. Oh, we do no planning. There is no planning. Yeah. You think I plan this stuff? So I guess to be upfront, I used to sketch beforehand. I would sketch the model up 100% beforehand, and I would have everything planned out and set aside, and it just wasn't fun. You know what I mean? I was doing something beforehand and then copying it again and trying to be that literal. I actually had a model stop me and he goes, your body paint does not match this sketch. I'm like, it doesn't matter. Why should it matter? No, but it needs to match. I'd feel better if it matched. I'm like, Okay, let me fix this line for you. So for me, part of the fun is just the organic chaos. You know what I mean? Like, you never know. He came in with some wood pieces that he thought would be fun in certain areas. Like, we knew we wanted to have a big wooden shoulder, but we just kind of just ran with it, you know? This is Seth, one of my awesome collaborators. He was the model that you guys saw in the documentary. So look how far he has come. Looks like a different person, right? It's the one on the right, if you guys were confused. I saw a couple like raised eyebrows. Do we have any other questions from all you lovely people? Oh, it's me again. Hi. Yes, back there. Yes. That's a good question. Usually not. So I did like a show last year at 9 Gallery. It was a month-long installment where I had my art up. They didn't have to stand there for a month, thankfully. But the prints stood up there for a month, and I painted people on the opening and the closing. And I don't know if you guys have worked with latex at all, but it's pretty flexible. It's kind of a rubbery material. As long as I don't constrain them too much, they can kind of move around. But I noticed that a lot of people have a lot of stiffness in the shoulders because of all the crap I glue onto them. This is actually a live show. I did a Joker. So I painted this in front of an audience. It's actually a full body painting. The face just blows me away. That's creepy. It scares me. Yeah. What other questions do we have? Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. Definitely. No, that's a good question. He's in a band, so he's fine. He's good. If you've seen his music videos, they're kind of scandalous. He was actually totally fine with it. He has no qualms. But some people are. I've had a few models that were like, I will be happy to do a studio session with you, but I don't want to be in front of a live audience. And it's a perfectly legitimate concern. I don't know if I would want to be naked in front of a live audience. I mean, that's kind of weird. But you know, it's all about the comfort level, and some people are very comfortable with themselves, and he has no issues with that. Yeah, it's a good question. Good question. Let's see if we. Oh, not me again. That's good. Yes, back there, Mark. Oh, you went to one of my shows, didn't you? I don't have any raffle prizes this time. No prizes. I'm sorry. I used to give away prizes. So for a lot of my live shows, I would give away like prints or free body paintings or all sorts of goodies. Until one time, a really creepy guy won a body painting. I think that was the last time I gave away a free body painting. I actually painted him before. He was the guy that talked himself in tongues the entire time. It was like this demonic language he would have with himself, and then I would occasionally interrupt him with a question. He would pause his internal or external dialogue, answer the question, and then return. It was really weird. And I've had an assortment of messes. I had a model that like semi-OD'd while I was painting him, like collapsed on the ground and went to go throw up. And I'm like, you have my makeup all over you. And then he returns, and I'm like, would you like some mouthwash? You just vomited everywhere. And he goes, I'm good, let's do this. It was horrifying. I don't recommend working with drug addicts. That was in the beginning when pickings were really slim. So I was like, I'll take anyone, really. Who wants to get painted? Sure. You smell homeless. Let's go for it. Yes. Yes.
So do you get inspired by specific models to do specific types of themes or art? Like, do you like look at a model and say, like, paint them up?
That's a good question. Yeah, so I have a lot of different ways to approach it. Some models work with me based on a themed project. So I just did an Alive in Wonderland series where I painted different characters from Alice in Wonderland. Some of them were like the Queen of Hearts, like you saw earlier. I'm like, oh, here's a new person now. Somewhat like Queen of Hearts. I'm just trying to see if I can find one for you. Probably not. Sorry, to return to your question. Yes, I do overarching themes like Alive in Wonderland, like the Zodiac series, like Seven Deadly Sins. But a lot of people just have a cool idea, and it depends on what's going on. Usually I charge an hourly rate, but if they have a really awesome idea, then sometimes I just make it work, you know? And usually for bigger projects, they have to apply. So, for example, for my duality project, which was couples, 120 plus people applied to get painted together, which is really awesome that many people wanted to be involved. Yes, back there. Temperature range, like as far as like how warm do I keep the room, or? Yeah, I mean, it's water-based paint. So I've done some like outdoor raves that I painted at. That's weird, but fun. I've done some raves, and they'll super sweat it off. They really will, because it's meant to be washed off pretty easily. So usually, optimally, you know, in the 80, 70, 80 degree weather range is probably pretty good. I certainly don't want to freeze them, but, you know, we have to keep them comfortable. Yes? I use new brushes a lot. Yeah. I'm very, very concerned about hygiene. No, that's a valid question. I try to keep the brushes clean, and I don't reuse brushes. And then I usually, if I do a rave, I have an assistant that will go and wash the brushes in between, because that's gross. I don't want to create MRSA at the rave. Or yeah, so I mean, you know, hygiene's definitely important. Any skin disorders, I'd usually like to know about beforehand. I had a person that I painted. It was for his birthday party, and he didn't tell me, but he was sick with strep throat, and he waited until I arrived to tell me. And it was a long drive, and I was like, whatever, let's go. So now I have surgical masks in my car in case that happens again. I am taken care of. Do we have any more questions? Yes.
Can you share your most challenging and your most rewarding body painting experiences?
Challenging is usually tall people. They're a challenge. Probably my biggest challenge was my runway show, my first runway show, and that was scary. I painted for about 9 hours straight, and it's a long day. And then I was really ambitious where I wanted to have like moving prosthetics on the back and stuff. So when they walk around, it like flutters, and I don't know what I was thinking. It looked cool. Yeah, it read well on camera. The runway ate it up, but it was a long day. And you said the most rewarding. Probably my film. I started getting into filming the models and filming them act. And that's been like incredible to see just people like be able to belt out these lines. My Alice in Wonderland series, if you guys look it up online, it's called Alive in Wonderland on YouTube. But you can see some of these actors just really just nail their parts. They totally transform into these characters. And that was the first time that I was just kind of blown away. Like, whoa, my art's really coming alive. It's a real thing. So it's definitely been the most rewarding. Yes, back there. So if usually it's $50 an hour, but I pilot a lot of different projects where I set different cost ranges to make it cheaper for people, because usually for bigger projects I'm trying to get a lot of people involved. So I might charge like $50 for the entire session, or I might say, hey, if you pay me this much money, you'll get a free calendar involved with it. You know what I mean? Which is what I did for the Zodiac series. If you paid $100, you got like a calendar and some prints. So because it's sort of a new market, there's not really a lot of body painters out there. It's sort of me figuring out the roles as I go along. Yeah, it's a good question though. Any other questions back there? While I not try to click on a photo of myself. Yes.
So, what do you see being the next phase of body painting? So it went from just flat to prosthetic. What do you see being the next development?
So this year I'm really trying to get into the multiple plastic stuff, but I want to do a lot of like headpieces in 3D dimensions, just kind of making the body seem a bit more extreme. And if you guys seen the show Face Off? So I feel like I'm kind of close to that realm eventually, but Face Off uses a lot of molds, and that seems like a lot of work. So whereas like with body painting, you just kind of go along with the flow. There's not a lot of planning involved ahead of time. Whereas if you do like molds, you really have to do all that, a month beforehand. You know what I mean? So I would like to get into that at some point if I get some bigger projects. I want to do a Cthulhu piece. That would be like a dream come true to have a bunch of tentacles coming off the face. But I know it's going to be a challenge for sure, for sure. So I'm doing another couple series. This series is about kind of breaking down the lines with duality. I just really did black and white couples. So it was just, are you gay? Are you straight? Lesbian? What, two people in a relationship. So for contact, I'm trying to introduce some polyamory, some asexuality, different definitions of what relationships are. Because as I've gone along, I've become more aware of different binaries in relationships. So that's first half of 2016. And then the second half, you guys know who Piers Anthony is? Anyone read Piers Anthony? He did a series called Incarnations of Immortality. And they deal with some really cool themes like death and fate and nature and war. And I thought that would be a really cool acting opportunity for people to be painted and maybe get into character and have a lot of fun. And so it's going to be very costume-esque and just very grand. So I'm excited about that. Because I like to do really over-the-top pieces. I think that'll be a fun opportunity. Do you guys have any ideas or suggestions on things that you think it would be fun for me to cover? Yes. Okay. Yeah, I did an Egyptian theme in 2013, so it's probably ripe for me to explore it again, and it was terrible. Yeah. I don't know, it was like a cybernetic Egyptian god thing. I don't know. It was a hot mess. But I mean, as you can see in like a short period of time, like you can really just become so much better if you really work at it. I've done about 300 body paintings in a 2.5, 3 year span, which is kind of nuts. Usually, sometimes I do about 3 body paintings a week at times, which keeps me busy. And I work a full-time job, just like much of you. Do we have any other questions? We've got a few more minutes, and I would be happy to answer them. Yes, in the back. I'm trying to groom some people. I have some assistants that I work with, mostly for live shows. I'm working on a music video next week where I have a couple assistants that will be helping me out. Mostly it's for like big coverage where I'm like, I really need this leg one color. And that way we can get some coverage in. But yeah, it's something that I've thought about. I know that I've had some people express interest in being an assistant, but I need to vet them and make sure I'm comfortable with them, because you have people that are genuinely interested, and then you have people that are just kind of lecherous, and they just want to watch naked people. So it's like, how do you understand what the difference is? What are your qualifications? Are you an actual artist? Let me see your work. So there's a vetting process in that. It would be nice. It would be nice to have that extra assistance, and it would be nice to inspire, as I'm hoping to do here, inspire other people to create and have fun with it and explore. Because I don't feel like there's a lot of representation in the body painting world, and especially people who just kind of go with it and do their own thing. You know, there's not one way to do it. You know what I mean? You don't just have to paint the body. You can really have fun with it. So. We have a couple more minutes if any of you have any questions. Otherwise, we'll start to wrap up. Yes. I use a Nikon D3200 SB 700 flash, I think is what it is. And it's funny because I had to grow as a photographer too. The first year, I was kind of a mediocre photographer, and it wasn't until I saw someone else shoot my work that I was like, oh, I want to be that. Like, whatever that is, we need to make that happen. And so that was one of my big goals, was to become a better photographer. And you can see, like, if we go from, like, here, which is my first year, to here, which was a couple weeks ago, it's very different. And understanding lighting better. Are any of you photographers in here? Very cool, very cool. Yeah, I mean, as you know, it's a challenge. It's a challenge to get the lighting meters right and everything correct, but it's a lot of fun. Yeah. All right, well, if we don't have any other questions, I think we'll wrap up. Oh, sorry. Yes, go ahead. What do you mean on location shoots? Yes, that's something that I want to explore more. I don't know if I have any examples of it here, but that's something that's always been kind of interesting, is to go out in nature and kind of shoot there. I did a project, I want to say 2 years ago, where I did up north. I was kind of mentioning earlier, out in the forest. And it was cool because you sort of had like a forest theme with a real forest. I didn't have to create a fake background, which really made the process feel a lot more authentic. It's something I want to get involved more with. The challenge is that you have to transport all the paint, all the water. Where are they going to shower in the middle of the forest? Are they going to drive back in the car? So yeah, it's fun, but ideally studio's a little easier to work with, unless you're doing something that's easily portable. All right. Well, thank you everyone for coming. Hopefully it was mildly entertaining. Appreciate it. And if you have any questions, I'm here all weekend. Stop by, say hi. I'll be roaming around. And I hope you guys have a great GaymerX Con. Thank you.